Oh yeah. Here's a news story.
Yep. No more party.
So, black guy walks into a Walmart, wants to buy a video game.
Don't try to fucking go too far and start something, right? Right? You want to see my back kick right now?
Call the cops.
Call the cops?
Yep, call the cops right now.
That's what I'm tired of. You guys think, you like black people. You guys think you guys are so fucking strong.
Yeah.
You guys think you're so fucking strong and everything. Right? Come on, make a move, dude. Come on.
Sir, I'm
Come on.
asking you, it's time to go.
Come on.
Time to go, sir.
What?
Excuse me.
What?
Hey, excuse me.
White people are not okay.
Time to go.
You've been drinking. You need to go. Police? Walmart line.
Yeah.
Pokemon Snap just came out. I was trying to get Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon Snap.
Dude just wants to go in. Let him go buy his fucking Pokemon Snap, guys. Why look. Just like let black people live. Why you gotta be like so racist that you go out of your way and like hassle somebody for wanting to buy a video game? Dude's mad chill. Well, he knows that if he gets mad, like, right? Like, if he gets mad at this guy for getting in his face, like, he's gonna be, like, labeled, like, the bad guy. Like, if cops come, they're gonna assume he was the aggressor, despite the video evidence, and it could end very badly for him. And then on top of that, this guy's, like, looking for a fight, so if this guy, like, reacts in, like, a non-chill way, it's gonna immediately escalate. Like, this guy just is looking for an excuse to beat on a black guy. What was the white guy going on about? I have no idea. This was bizarre.
Don't try to fucking go too far and start something, right? Right? You want to
Don't tell me to not to go too far and start something.
see my back kick right now?
Want to see my back kick?
Call the cops.
Call the cops?
Yep, call the cops right now.
That's what I'm tired of. You guys think, you like black people. You guys think you guys are so fucking strong.
Yeah.
You guys think you're so fucking strong and everything.
Black people think that they're so strong? Okay, real talk, I've never heard any of my black friends be like, yeah, black people, we're strong. Like, I've never heard that except from white people.
Right, come on, make a move, dude. Come on.
Sir, I'm
Come on.
asking you, it's time to go.
Come on.
Time to go, sir.
What?
Excuse
What?
me.
What?
And then at this point, he starts, like, throwing punches here. Like, he starts throwing punches, and then he throws this kick. Like, that kick was pretty close to hitting this guy in the face. And yeah, he was just minding his own business. Dude just wanted to go buy Pokemon Snap at Walmart.
Get me out of here.
Time to go.
You've been drinking. You need to go.
Police?
You like black people?
Walmart line.
Yeah.
Pokemon Snap just came out. I was trying to get Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon Snap. Yeah, that's
where
what we're here for too.
Damn, just let people live and buy Pokemon Snap. Damn. He seems drunk and looking for trouble. Well, honestly, with the drunk, like, he was probably drunk, but that just makes it a little bit more incredible that he didn't, like, hit that guy, you know? Yeah, it was a Texas Walmart. White people, racism is over. Also white people, this fucking guy. Yeah. God damn. I was gonna do another Gothics video, but I think we've had enough of her for today. my goodness. I just want to say thank you all for being here. You've made this Friday stream very nice. Very, very chill, very comfortable, and I appreciate all of you, especially you new TYT peeps. It was really cool of you to join in, and I'm really enjoying you being here. Thanks. It is a dress, Athena. Yeah, we're still sitting at over 75 views. In fact, our average for the stream is around 76 views right now. So I'm feeling pretty good. We're in our ideal territory. This is where we want to be every stream, guys. I love that dress. Yeah, it's like kind of a satin material. I just don't wear it very much because it's kind of itchy. Like this mesh fabric is kind of like stiff, you know? Yeah, these are partner numbers, guys. And with partner numbers, we have to return to our old friend, our old, incredibly old, decrepit, old friend. Yeah, we can't pull a TYT raid every stream, but I'll see what I can do. Yeah, thank you so much. Good night, Ashley.
Hi everybody, Dennis Prager here for Fire.
Wait, the upper half of my outfit looks like a bunny showgirl outfit? It does, kind of. I have one of those outfits. It doesn't fit me very well, though.
Fireside chat number
192.
192. We got to do something on the 200th. So, of course,
Okay,
Otto
we
welcomes you. I
speed
get
this
a
up.
great deal of a fan mail for Otto. Otto appreciates it and has asked me as often as possible to thank you for the loving
It
attention
doesn't
that
fit
you
me
give him.
very well, Archangel.
So,
It
once
makes me
again,
sad.
for those new to this, and just to review, I get a chance to just think things through with you, offer you thoughts from my mind and heart, and then take your questions each week at what we call the Fireside Chat. So I was sent some information sent out by Benny Johnson of Turning Point USA from Iowa, where they're injecting the critical race theory and other anti-white, blacks are victims.
Critical race theory isn't anti-white, and interpreting it that way means you probably need to learn more about it.
Curricula into the educational system. And I want to review some of it because it's so important that it be dealt with rationally and morally. So, for example, there's a list here of examples of racism across levels. So it's got a pyramid and...
Okay, yeah, you have covert and overt white supremacy. Overt white supremacy would be like going around calling people the N-word. Yeah, right here. And using racial slurs. Yeah, like the things that, you know, kind of really announce to people and conservatives can't deny are racist, you know? When it comes to covert white supremacy, we're talking about stuff that's a little bit more subtle, like saying a racist joke and then just being like, it's just a joke, what are you getting upset about? To kind of like normalize the white supremacy. Yeah, like, obviously. Celebration of Columbus Day. I bet Dennis is going to talk about this one. And colorblindness. He's going to be bamboozled by this. Also, one of the only things on here that I would take issue with is just I'm seeing if there's any others that I would take issue with. the only one I would take issue with is not believing experiences of people of color, mostly because, like, yeah, if the only reason you're not believing something is because someone's black, yeah, that's hella low-key racist, okay? Or hella covert white supremacy. If we're talking about, like, just blanket believing, like, if you're black, you're honest, you're telling the truth, like, I'm a little, I don't think that's probably what it means. Like, that's just how I would interpret it if I was being completely uncharitable about it. But yeah, I mean, like, there are some people who you should listen to their experiences and learn from. And then there are people like Diamond and Silk who are right-wing grifters, and their experiences, generally as they describe them, are not something that I would believe, you know, just point blank, without receipts, you know?
Socially unacceptable, overt white supremacy, lynching, hate crimes, the N-word, KKK, which, by the way, is true. Those are, in fact, overt hate-filled things.
Yeah, see, exactly. Like, he's gonna be like, yeah, all of these are, this is real racism, and this is everything down here is not real racism.
And probably usually an example, in fact, always an example of a sense of white supremacy. I can do what I want to a black. The point to be made about that is it's exceedingly rare today. We agree that it happened, but this is a long time ago.
By the way, just as are you guys seeing now why I played that video of a white dude just randomly trying to start a fight with a black dude in Walmart for no reason, while talking about how blacks think that they're inherently stronger than whites? Do you kind of see the connection between why I played that video and this video? Kind of like racism isn't gone just because it's not 1960 anymore.
Conflating of the past and the present on the part of the left is one of its sort of sleights of hand. It's like a little magic trick that it does. Well, you ask them for what are examples of white supremacy, and then they give you the examples: lynching, hate crimes, burning crosses, KKK. But they're very, very rare today. Do they not exist? Everything exists.
Everything exists, Dennis Prager.
So I think one has to be honest about the present situation. Then it gives examples.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, Dennis Prager. Each one of these things should be broken down with how statistically common it is in society. That would actually make this graph a little bit, it would make this this image a little bit more interesting to see, I guess. But I don't think it's necessarily necessary.
Examples of covert white supremacy. In other words, hidden. But it's still white supremacy. And among their examples, which is what I want to go over with you, Make America Great Again. That, by the way, is near the top, near overt white supremacy. The claim Make America Great Again is considered to be on the borderline of lynching in this period.
Dennis, what time period do you think most people think of when they think Make America Great Again? Because most people use it in the context of rolling back to before civil rights.
Pyramid. I know many people who loved the statement Make America Great Again, and not one of them would have the slightest sympathy with any evil done to a black human being for being black. This is just a
Do you think, though, that it might be an issue of why it's called covert white supremacy, Dennis? That a lot of the people who say Make America Great Again might not be aware of their racism because they're not going around and saying the N-word to black people?
Magnificent lie. It is a way of, which is what all of this is about, giving power to the left and the Democratic Party. By teaching people, which is a hate-filled notion, that if you say Make America Great Again, you are a white supremacist. I love the statement Make America Great Again. And you would say, well, why America wasn't great? Well, I'll give you an example. In the 1950s,
Yeah, in the 1950s. Dennis, I wonder why. I wonder if you put your thinking cap on this one. Why African Americans, why referencing the 1950s as a desirable time to have lived in might be a bit racist. I wonder why, before the civil rights era, it would be a little bit racist to try and remake our country in that image.
Few children in America, black or white, were born to a mother who did not have a husband. Now, 41% of all children, more than 70% of black children, are born to an unwed mother. I have that in mind, as do many others, as an example of making America great again, where children had an opportunity to be born in a home with two married parents. Why is that racist? Isn't it racist not to wish black children have a dad in their home? Isn't that far more likely to be something that's anti-black? So when people say make America great again, that is one of the things that comes to mind, the centrality of the nuclear family. Nobody that I know of, and virtually nobody, it's hard to me to imagine almost anyone in America. Oh, make America great again. Yeah, let's go back to where blacks cannot be served at a restaurant with a white. The only people today for racial segregation are people on the left. They're the ones who are pro all black dormitories and black graduation ceremonies.
Yeah, you can opt into them. They're optional, as opposed to forced. God damn it.
Liberals and conservatives are not for segregation. Leftists are. So make America great again, to brand that as an expression of white supremacy is just a plain outright lie. Next, denial of white privilege. So if you deny white privilege, you are a covert white supremacist.
Well, no. That's not what this is saying. This is saying these are actions that are examples of overt white supremacy. And these are actions that would be considered covert white supremacy. None of these, by the way, none of these on their own necessarily mean that you're a racist. Except you could probably argue, lynching, KKK, neo-Nazi membership, etc. But people who are engaging in this are not covert white supremacists, but they are doing things that are covertly white supremacist. The things are the white supremacy, not the people. The people might not have these explicit beliefs, crunched down to diamonds in their brains, okay? They might not be aware of these beliefs. They're subconscious rather than conscious.
Right. So I think of my friend Adam Carolla. Adam and I made the movie No Safe Spaces. We've gone around the country doing dialogues together. I'm rather close to Adam. He's a terrific human being. And he speaks often of his upbringing. And it was the opposite of white privilege. It was dysfunctional in the extreme. It's an individual basis. You know what privilege exists in America? Two-parent privilege. Functional family privilege.
Tommy Brad, thank you for
Being
the
an
100
American
biddies.
is a privilege. That's why so many people want to move to this country, including vast numbers of Africans. Because everybody except Americans knows what a privilege it is to be an American.
If you're wealthy, Dennis, if you're wealthy, immigration self-selects for wealth in the vast majority of cases. That's why Africans who come here tend to be wealthier than the average American.
Those are the real privileges, infinitely more so than white privilege. There's values privilege. If you're raised in a home which teaches you self-control, self-discipline, and hard work, and get married before you have a child, that's privilege, but not skin color.
Dennis, I don't think you understand what privilege is. I think you are using it in your own, weird, twisted way. When people are talking about societal privileges that are given unconsciously or consciously to other individuals on certain observable traits, we're talking about race, we're talking about gender, we're talking about different groups and how they can be treated differently based on perceived differences. People can't perceive your values, Dennis.
Eurocentric curriculum, that is considered white supremacist. A Eurocentric.
Yeah. We live on a globe that is home to billions of people, Dennis, most of whom don't live in Europe.
Curriculum in America makes perfect sense. America came from Europe. I would expect a Japan-centric curriculum in Japan, an Asian-centric curriculum in China.
Why wouldn't you want people to learn about the entire world, Dennis?
That is what every culture does. It has a centric.
Wait, then why don't we have a US-centric curriculum, Dennis? Why do we have a Euro-centric curriculum? If your argument is that the US came from Europe, and that's why we have that, well, guess what? Most of the evidence we have shows that humans came from Africa. So shouldn't we have an Afrocentric curriculum? Like, it just falls apart. The more you question everything he says.
Curriculum of its roots. It's perfectly appropriate. But there's another reason for Eurocentric to the extent that it exists, because there is the belief, in Japan as well, I might add, that much of European art and music was and literature was among the greatest ever. They were great.
That might be a result of hundreds of years of colonialism, Dennis. That, just as a thought, that might be as a result of, like the British Empire conquering most of the known world. Might be a result of, the Dutch going into the Congo or the Portuguese. No, the Dutch going into the Congo and massacring people who were different than the Dutch and enslaving them for hundreds of years. It might have something to do with the fact that, African Americans had their entire culture genocided away from them until there was nothing left but European culture. It might be that it's the innumerable other genocides, not to mention like genocide of Native American culture, that left such a Eurocentric idea in many of those cultures. Just as a thought.
Japanese paintings, by the way. They were great Japanese writers. Everyone acknowledges that fact. But in Japan, if you ask people, what is your favorite music? Many will say Beethoven or Bach. There are more orchestras.
I highly doubt that most people are going to say Beethoven or Bach in Japan if you ask them what their favorite music is. I think that they're probably going to be selecting some J-pop or K-pop band that Dennis has never heard of. Clearly, Dennis has never encountered J-pop or K-pop stands, okay?
Orchestras per capita in Japan playing Beethoven than in the United States. So is that a Eurocentric curriculum in Japan? Because
everyone go, if you haven't read it, go read King Leopold's Ghost to learn about why maybe people around the world have European-centric views and how it might be a product of the horrible things that Europe wrought upon the entire globe.
Japan is white supremacist? It's a little absurd, is it not? Everything the left says is absurd. Liberals, I do not include with the left. They unfortunately defend the left, that's a separate issue. But leftism is just always wrong. It's a very destructive force. This is a perfect example. Make America Great Again is not white supremacist. Denial of white privilege is not white supremacist. Eurocentric curriculum is not white supremacist. Next, mass incarceration. There's a very simple question to be asked. Why is a disproportionate number of black males in prison? Notice not black females. Truly, one would imagine that if the country were putting blacks in prison for no good reason, that would include black females, but they're not. Black males are in prison disproportionately because black males disproportionately commit violent crimes. That's the reason. That's not anti-black, it's just pro-truth.
Oh, well, Dennis, what about why are black men disproportionately incarcerated for crimes that are committed at the same frequency as white people? Why aren't white people imprisoned at the same frequency for those crimes, Dennis?
Care about blacks, you want to figure out why is that happening. So here is a hint. 85% of those in prison, of any color, for a violent crime did not grow up with a father. Okay? That's not a color issue. That's a father issue.
That happens to be split down racial lines in a country that enslaved black people on the basis of their skin color for hundreds of years, Dennis.
What else? Let's see. Celebration of Columbus Day makes you a white supremacist. Well, here's an interesting...
Also, African American women are imprisoned disproportionately compared to white and Hispanic women. Just saying.
Question about that. If everything having to do with Columbus is to be rejected, why hasn't Columbia University changed its name? Can't get more woke than Columbia University. It's about as left and as anti-intellectual a university as you can find in America. I went there, I know. So why don't they change their name? Why do we drop Columbus Day but not Columbia University? Columbia University comes from Columbus. That's what it is. Could have been Columbus University, but it was Columbia. Because if they changed their name to Indigenous Peoples University, they'd get much less funding and far fewer students would apply because it wouldn't have the same clout as the name Columbia. So they're phonies. They want money. This is all baloney about Columbus Day. That's all. And Columbia University is proof. Columbus, Ohio is proof. Why doesn't Columbus, Ohio change its name to Indigenous People, Ohio?
You could change it to something else, like the name of the native tribes from which the land was taken from. You could do that, or I guess... Like, by the way, Columbia was not always called Columbia University. It was originally founded as King's College. We renamed Columbia University specifically to spite England. We could rename it for any reason.
That's what they changed the name of the holiday to. We're living in a state of fraud. It's all Twilight Zone-ish. What else do we have here? Yeah, those are the examples. That's what you're being taught at school as examples of white supremacy. By the way, do you know any white supremacists? I don't. If you are one, drop me a line.
Jason.
Do you know? Talk about drop me a line. I have
Thank you very much for
a young
the
woman who's been on my radio show now weekly for the last few weeks. She'll be a senior at Harvard, and she's a wonderful, truly wonderful young woman, and she's been working with me, so she's going through my mail. It's too much mail for me to handle, and she's looking through it.
Look. If you asked Dennis Prager why Nathan Bedford Forrest is still like there are still like hundreds of streets and like libraries and schools named after Nathan Bedford Forrest, the founder of the KKK, he would probably just be like, well, you gotta, I mean, they just really love their history. Like, yeah, Columbus was a fraud. And you know what? He raises a good point. We should rename everything named after Columbus.
And so she has seen thousands of emails to me. And she made a very insightful comment. Said, if you were a white supremacist, I would have found at least one email from a fellow white supremacist. Isn't that interesting? I guess my dog whistles are not loud enough. Not one. She's seen thousands, and I don't go through them.
Nice of him to admit that he dog whistles, though, I guess.
Where are they? This whole thing is a phony issue. It's sad. It's just a phony issue. All right. So that there's so much more of that example. By the way, one final thing. Please see my column this week at DennisPrager.com or townhall.com or at dailywire.com or americangreatness.com or many other places. Epoch Times also now prints it, publishes it. And I ask a question. If America is so racist, is systemically racist, why have millions of blacks come from Africa in the last 50 years?
Because they have money! They have money to immigrate! Immigration self-selects for wealth! God.
Why do tens of millions still want to come to America? And then I ask the whopper, any Jews moved to Germany in the 1930s? No.
Yeah, Dennis, actually some did. Remember when a bunch of Jewish people showed up on a boat trying to immigrate to America during the rise of the Nazis? And America was like, nah, we don't want 30 Jews in our country. And we sent them back and they died in the gas chambers. Do you remember that, Dennis?
Why is that? Why do blacks move to Africa in the millions and no Jews moved to Germany, not one, in the 30s, or at least after 32 when Hitler came to power? Because Germany was systemically anti-Semitic and America is not systemically anti-black. It's one of...
Yeah. Look, guys, you understand that even if you could Thanos snap away racism, right? Like, just just you wake up one day, everyone has suddenly become magically not racist. Like there's just no one wants to say the N-word. It's just everyone is not racist anymore, magically, hypothetically, for the hypothetical. You would still have, you might not have laws on the books that say like N-words can't vote or something like that, but you would still have the systemic discrimination that has become embedded in the economy. You would still have, the 1350, and it's not because people are just like racist. It's because the issues of poverty and generational wealth that were started by the previous slavery and the previous racism and the previous Jim Crow laws and the previous segregation and the previous redlining, nothing has been done to address. So if you don't do anything to address those issues, the effects of that discrimination continue in ways that affect human behavior today. It's not because black people are just inherently prone to fatherlessness that there's a lack of black fathers in America. It's not because black people are inherently more prone to violent crime that black youth disproportionately commits violent crime. It's because of the intergenerational poverty that continues despite the fact that, in this hypothetical, no one's racist anymore. If you continue to not do anything about it, it continues to be disproportionately affecting certain groups of people based on the racism and discrimination of the past. And that's the entire point that we're talking about. So now we snap back to reality where people are actively racist or covertly racist. And we live in a world where we haven't addressed the inequities of the past. We basically unshackled millions of people and said, well, good luck with that, and then told them to fuck off. And yeah, of course, that's then going to create systemic inequality around that group of people. So if we want to actually address the underlying issues that lead a lot of people to perpetuate their internalized racism, if we want to address the issues that create the inequities and disproportionality when it comes to violent crime and poverty and house ownership and stuff like that, we have to address the root of the issue, and the root of the issue is how poverty is disproportionately affecting the African American community. We have to be able to address that, and if we don't, the inequalities continue. That's how it works. It doesn't take a cabal of evil white supremacists to perpetuate this. All it takes is, to quote the words of a much smarter person than I, good people doing nothing.
One of the great lies, it's the second greatest national lie in history. The first is the blood libel. I wrote about it, I won't go into it now, from the Middle Ages. Blacks who move to America from Africa know what they're doing. They're not fooled by the black and white left in America about the lie that America is anti-black. Blacks come to America because they know this is the land of opportunity for everyone. Okie dokie, we're good. Now time for our video call.
You still waiting for the arm?
I am waiting for the arm, and let's see, I think I know how to do this. I do. All right. Take it away.
Hi, Mr. Prager. My name is Joel Bailey.
Wait, Jitendra Nani, thank you very much for the follow, by the way.
I'm 21 years old, and I currently live in Arizona for work. But my question is quite tricky. Why do you think Black Americans choose to ignore African immigrants' perspectives when they're the ones that always romanticize the African culture when they know the true realities in which the African continent actually is, but choose to ignore?
Well, they romanticize African culture because it's the culture that was stripped from them when they were taken to America and slowly genocided out of their culture after generation after generation after generation. That's why. It's really not difficult to wrap your head around.
Our perspectives when we have a say-so about certain issues in America.
Okay, so I had to somewhat unravel this. Is an excellent question, but I didn't understand who the we was because I thought he was a...
Black Americans have it great, says old white man on a show about a group of people who have been systematically disadvantaged for literally hundreds of years.
Black American. Turns out he is from Africa. He is from Cameroon. I was in Cameroon. I know exactly where he's from in West Africa. He was adopted by, at the age of 11, by an American, a white American Christian family in Cameroon. I was there, I think, for military reasons. So he is African. He's become, if you will, African American. And he doesn't understand why do African Americans romanticize Africa when they know the truth. It's pretty bad in a lot of Africa.
Well, no, he would be called African. Like, the reason we call African Americans in America African Americans is because we don't actually have a way of tracing back their lineage to a certain place in Africa because, you know, of the whole genocide and slavery thing. So we call them African Americans en masse. He would be like Cameroon, like a Cameroon American? Like a Cameroonian American? Or he would be African and American, but not African American, if that makes sense.
By the way, I say this with love of Africa. I have been to 20 African countries. That's a lot. And I have loved my travels in Africa. It is the untapped potential of Africans in Africa, both in terms of brain power and material wealth, is tremendous. However, there is one thing that guarantees to destroy any hope, and that's corruption, which we are getting in America, by the way. America is more corrupt than ever in its history, just not in my opinion, I'm certain of it. The corruption of all of our leading institutions, from the American Medical Association to the
It's almost like capitalism tends to lead to the buying of politicians in a society where everything's up for sale. Who knew?
NIH and CDC to the FBI and the CIA and the State Department to the teachers' unions, the corruption at City Hall in almost every major city. This is unprecedented in America, how much corruption there is. So I worry about my country. But in any event, that is what he is referring to. Why do you Black Americans romanticize Africa? I'm from there. Let me tell you something. You've got it great here. That's in effect his question. And he's absolutely right. And the answer is the left. The left has poisoned many blacks' minds. It has poisoned many whites' minds. It has poisoned many Jews' minds. And I only add that because I'm a Jew, so you'll understand. I know what it's done to every group. If you can't say America is the last best hope on earth, your mind has been poisoned by the left. So it is a very, very valid question. And I thank you, and I look forward to meeting you, and so does Megan. I have no idea if that's true, but I just thought I'd add that. Why not? Okay, to your questions. All right. Brennan, 29, Billings, Montana. I'm a 29-year-old high school graduate Navy veteran working at Costco. I have a buddy that is left-wing, not a leftist. We have been engaging in conversations somewhat regularly. He's 25. Yesterday, I've come to find out, he will be graduating university with a major in biology. Seeing an opportunity to make some progress on an issue we disagree on, abortion, I asked him to define life. He stayed silent for nearly a minute until I could not take the awkwardness anymore and defined it for him. I'm dumbfounded. Someone 6 months away from a major in biology is unable to define the term life? How is this possible? I suspect that he was...
It's because the subject of defining life is actually more complicated than most conservatives think it is. In fact, there are raging debates within the biology community about what constitutes life. For example, are viruses alive? Some people think they are. Other people think they're not. Because they exhibit some of the qualities typically associated with life, but not all of them. And there are a lot of creatures that exist on Earth that fall into some of the categories of life, but not all of them. So it's actually much more complicated than people like to make it appear.
Is afraid to give you the real answer, and then you would say, well, then in light of that, isn't abortion taking a life? The interesting thing about abortion is...
By the way, just as an FYI, even if abortion is taking a life, which is conceding an awful lot to the conservative position, I don't care. The loss of autonomy would still be overwhelmingly negative, to the point where I don't think that we can allow it to occur. Like, if we grant that fetuses are are the same as fully grown adults, well then I'm sorry, fully grown adults of all kinds, not just women, shouldn't have full bodily autonomy. if you die in a car accident, you shouldn't be able to control who gets, like, whether or not your organs get donated. If you have a kidney and you are a perfect match for somebody else, the government should be able to come in and take your kidney. Like, these are the kinds of things that when you're trying to legislate around loss of autonomy, that you open up if you say that, well, women shouldn't be allowed to get abortions, okay? Archangel, this is for you. Daddy. Did I see that Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying Plan B is killing babies? No, but also a lot of conservatives think the same way.
That science now backs the conservative view of the value of the unborn human or the human fetus. I don't care which term you use. That's the irony. Science tells us, you know what? That's a life. That's a human life. That's true from conception. But if you want...
Is that true? I don't think that science necessarily tells us that. I think that's an arbitrary quirk of language. Let's see. Here, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what is life. What is life? Okay. Life is something that can engage in homeostasis, the regulation of internal environment to maintain a constant state. For example, sweating to reduce temperature. I don't think that fetuses can actually do this. Being structurally composed of one or more cells, the basic units of life. I mean, fetuses certainly are done of that. Metabolism, transformation of energy by converting chemicals and energy into cellular components. Anabolism, and decomposing organic matter. Catabolism. Living things require energy to maintain internal organization, homeostasis, and to produce, and the other phenomena associated with life. I think that generally the mother's metabolism is used to sustain a fetus. Growth. Let's see. A growing organism increases in size. Okay, yep. Adaptation, the ability to change over time in response to the environment. That is not... A fetus can't do that, actually. Response to stimuli. They can at certain levels. And reproduction, the ability to reproduce new individual organisms. A fetus can't do that, actually. So technically, if we're going to use the traditional criteria, a fetus, as it is, is not technically alive. Darn.
To even make it a later date, beating heart, you still have a pretty early time when there is a beating heart, and brain waves and everything we...
Wow. You mean if we take the heart tissue out of a fetus and put it into an adult, it's going to be it's a fully grown heart in there? No? Oh, you mean it's just something that kind of functions sort of a little bit like a heart, so it's not actually a heart. It's more some sort of collection of cells that moves similarly to a heart.
We associate with being human. I have a video at PragerU on abortion, and I say at the beginning...
Mojo Muffins, I am familiar with that metaphor, and I like it quite a bit. It's actually one of the bases I use for my objection to abortion, where, like, it allows me to concede that, or not even concede, but, like, hypothetically concede to a fetus being considered equal in every respect to a fully grown adult. Even if it were a fully grown adult, I do not think it would be ethical or moral to, force a woman to carry it to term and save its life, you know?
I'm not discussing legality.
Also, Horny Guy 5, thank you very much for the follow.
Just morality. So don't get defensive, just be intellectually honest. Say, it is a human life, but nevertheless, I don't see anything wrong with extinguishing it up until birth, or up until month 7, or month 6, or month 5. But you've got to take a position with the honesty of that it's not a pimple. When you say a woman can do what she wants with her own body, you are dismissing that which she is carrying as basically a pimple. We're not telling a woman you can't have a breast implant. That's her body. Her breast is her body. But this is not her body. It's in her body.
Right. It's in her body. It's connected to her body. If you woke up tomorrow, handcuffed to a hospital bed, and there was a tube connecting your body to another person's body, and someone said, you are the only thing keeping this person alive, and you have to be connected to him for the next 9 months, otherwise he will die. Like, no, that would be an unacceptable invasion of your bodily autonomy. And the same is true with a fetus.
It's a pretty big difference. I would just ask for intellectual honesty.
Oh, Dennis Prager doesn't believe that you should blame children of rape for the rape, and you should be forced to forced to give birth to the rape baby.
Sherry, 32, Burnsville, Minnesota. Hi, Dennis. Weeks ago, Craig Biddle stated that he can prove that life exists because we all experience consciousness. With this argument, my first thought was that as a Christian, I experience God on a daily basis. So now
What? Wait. You're making a lot of assumptions here in this question right off the bat. You can prove life exists because everyone has consciousness? Wait.
Sherry, 32, Burnsville, Minnesota. Hi, Dennis. Weeks ago, Craig Biddle stated that he can prove that life exists because we all experience consciousness.
Okay, but you don't know that other people experience consciousness. You assume that, but you're the only creature in existence that you can definitely say experiences consciousness. You don't know that other human beings even have consciousness. You assume it, you can intuit it, but you don't know it.
With this argument, my first thought was that as a Christian, I experience God on a daily basis. So now I'm curious if you experience God, and if so, how? You're one of my favorites, and I'm so thankful for your clarity and truth during this time. Thank you. So let's see. Do I experience God, and if so, how? Well, I am very God-centered. The question of experiencing God is a little tough for me to answer. My way of answering it might be very different from...
Well, I mean, Dennis has said that he doesn't think marital rape is real, and he has also said things like, the only thing preventing people from raping is the law, so, I don't know, probably.
I'm sure it would be. So, let me explain. My relationship to God is not complex. And here it goes. I want to do what God wants me to do, and that's pretty much it. To be honest. I think about God very often, as it happens, because I think, what does God want me to do? Very often. And I rest in peace. I'm not dead, but I rest in peace, knowing that there is a good God who governs the universe with all the evil and unfairness in it. So that ultimately, after death, there is some way of resolving these inequities.
Like, if Dennis Prager and, like, his ilk ever discovered, like, a pill that could, like, force trans people to be cis or force gay people to be straight, they would absolutely mandate that it be used to cure queer people.
Of this world. So God gives me peace, but my overwhelming relationship with God is, am I doing what you want me to do?
Good night,
God?
Athena.
Also, I fear God more than I fear Twitter or the New York Times. That's big. That is bigger than any quote-unquote experience. Do you fear God more than you fear what people will say about you? That is the most liberating thing you can live with, and that I do live with. I have written about the following, and I am very open about it. I find loving God a challenge, given how much injustice there is in the world that God made. Now you'll say, oh, he didn't make that. He made it a very just world in the Garden of Eden, and then man rejected it, fine. But God made man, and so ultimately, you can't get God off the hook by saying God made the Garden of Eden and man sinned in it. Yes, man sinned in it, but God made a man capable of sinning in it. So I never found that persuasive. But it doesn't matter to me. I want to do what God wants. I am more interested in God's approval than I am even in his love, which I know sounds to many of you heretical practically, but I must say I think it's the best. I wish everybody sought God's approval.
How does he know when he has it? That, like, this was part of the question. The question was asking how he experiences God, not what he wants from God. So how would he like experience God's approval? This is what I would like to know.
We'd have a much better world. So one day, maybe I'll talk about God and me. Great length. But as I said, it was pretty simple. What would you like me to do, God? Next, Yibam, or Yebam, Y-E-B-O-M, 15 years old, San Carlos, California. Hello, Mr. Prager. Hello, Yebam. I hope your day has been pleasant. They all are. Nearly all are. Could you talk about your general thoughts on friendship? Who to befriend and when to end them? Thank you. That is worthy of a long soliloquy. I could not have survived this life without friends. Friends is my most passionate subject, I think. And I was just telling someone today, since 6th grade, I have had at least one male friend in my life whom I loved. And I mean loved.
Gay.
And who loved me. In fact, my parents were terrific in many ways, but they were not particularly expressive of love. That was that generation. That's the way they were. They expressed love to each other. They had a great marriage of 72 years. But not much to the kids, which is not here or there. This is not a complaint. I'm just explaining why I look to friends for love. And I got it. And it's true to this day. My friends are beyond cherished in my life.
Tin Fern, that's where my
you
brain
ask
went to.
who to befriend?
Say anything.
But, well, you befriend people whom you can say anything to. That is my criterion for close friend. Because the more you hide, the less close you are with a person. That's true for a spouse. That's true for a friend. That's a very important thing. That's a good subject for one. Why people are not open with others. And well, I'll tell you one of the reasons. People are afraid of being hurt. But if you spend your life being afraid of being hurt, you won't live. You'll survive, but you won't live.
True, that's why you have to kiss your friends that you love with all your heart. But not in a gay way, just in a, experimentationally kind of gay way. Like you're straight, but you're experimenting. That kind of a way, As my father used to say, it's only pain. It's a funny statement about pain. It's only pain. But it had its impact on me, that statement. Anyway, you have to be able to say anything you feel, generally speaking. And you also want people who share your values. You won't get hurt by someone who shares your values. I mean, you might not, doesn't mean that you will have a permanent friendship. There are people who share my values who aren't going to be my best friends. I mean, that I understand. But it's not possible to be a close friend and not share my values. So the better you know you, the better it will be to make a friend. But nibbling the
values thing is critical. And being open with your friend and friends is also critical. The earlier you know that, the happier a life you will have. Nice note.
Man, I wish he stuck to, giving, vanilla-ass relationship advice.
To end on behalf of Otto, Megan, Nathan, by the way, folks, Nathan is wearing a shirt today that is so red that it is blinding.
Are we getting another topic? It looks
My
like
eyes are fixated on the camera so that they don't deviate over to what is essentially a sunspot. But having said that, see you next week. Thank you for watching this video.
We didn't get to
keep
why
review videos
products
free.
politicized.
Please consider.
Okay. Deviate over to Nathan's friendly little nips. How we doing, chat? How we feeling? Hey, Draco Wrath, thank you so much. How you doing? I'd like one dick flattening, please. Phalia, thank you so much. I put in some extra effort today on the makeup. Try and kind of go for like a smoky eye look. I didn't really succeed, but it was fun to try. Happy to see your face. Happy to see your face. Ooh, how was your Pride Fest, Draco Wrath? You did awesome. Thank you, Mama Panda. You've been wonderful in chat. I'm so glad that you found this channel.